Our debate starts now with the Chinhoyi University of Technology in the affirmative and use it in the opposing, with the motion, this House would ban anonymous posting, commenting and uploading on the internet. That motion, yet again, this House would ban anonymous posting, commenting and uploading on the internet. The affirmative, your opening 3 minutes start now.
A very good morning to you all, ladies and gentlemen. Now, according to the Advanced English Dictionary, anonymous is defined as without individuality, thus making others unable to identify an individual. And internet is defined as a global computer network providing a variety of information and communication facilities. These communication facilities being our own social media, WhatsApp, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, just to mention a few. Now, the price of freedom is not in anonymity, ladies and gentlemen, but it's in accountability. We need people who are going to express what they feel and then stand for what they have expressed. We need people like Wapo Chinono, who managed, ladies and gentlemen, to express what he felt and then stood for it, stood by it, ladies and gentlemen, and used his proper name, used his proper account to express what he was feeling to the world, thus making a difference, ladies and gentlemen. The Cyber Security and Protection Bill Act was introduced in 20 May 2020. This Cyber Act was protecting the right to dignity, personal security, administrative justice, fair hearing, right to expression, right of children, protecting them against sexual exploitation. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're saying as Team Affirmative is that for these rights to be effectively protected, for these rights, for this act to be effective, we need to ban anonymity on internet, thus enabling these rights to be able to be strong and firm. We're saying that we do not want people to be stripped of their dignity and then having no justice served after looking for the person who has stripped them of their dignity, after trying to get justice to the person who has stripped them of their dignity. Banning anonymity, ladies and gentlemen, will reduce illegal activities that are happening online. Illegal activities such as human trafficking, cyberbullying, and fraud, ladies and gentlemen. Among the 40 million people who were trafficked to Kuwait in 2016, there were 300 Zimbabwean women, ladies and gentlemen, who were trafficked to Kuwait just under the promise of having a job, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, these people were sexually abused. Some of them were even killed, ladies and gentlemen, following these anonymous postings on internet, ladies and gentlemen. So we need to protect these people and ban, ladies and gentlemen, the anonymity in the internet, ladies and gentlemen. Not to go so far back, right during the lockdown, there were people who were pretending to be Econet agents, ladies and gentlemen, and these people were stealing people's monies. And at the end of the day, someone cannot even trace the person who stole their money because they are anonymous on the internet. This is also affecting other people's businesses, ladies and gentlemen, just like the Masiwa family, which was accused and threatened on Twitter. So we are standing firm as Team Affirmative, saying that this has to be banned to protect the rest of the society. And
your time is up. Your 3 minutes are up. Thank you. Now, this debate, of course, is proudly sponsored by the SAYWHAT and the Swedish Embassy in Zimbabwe, UNFPA, and of course, SAIH. And I will reiterate that this debate is a legal activity on the internet. Opposers, your 1 minute of cross-examination starts now.
All right. Thank you very much, esteemed speaker. I have a couple of questions for you today. So my question is, have we been able to hold bullies accountable? We think that there are so many people on the internet that are using their actual names but are still bullying people on the internet. So do you think that now, just because it's now anonymous, you're going to be able to hold these people accountable?
Ladies and gentlemen, banning these people from being anonymous will be easy. It will be easier for those people who are bullying others to be traced. It will be easier for those people who are actually making others suffer, making other people even commit suicide to be traced and found so that justice is served.
All right, thank you very much. The internet is a very large place. We're talking of Twitter, we're talking of Facebook. So how exactly is your side of the house going to police the entire internet?
Ladies and gentlemen, laws can be introduced, and we can have the government even taking over the whole laws, ladies and gentlemen, and making sure that the people that are anonymous are found, or that, ladies and gentlemen, everyone has
Opposers, your 3 minutes opening, well, they start now.
Panel, what we have in this debate particularly is a problem-solution gap. We bring it before the House that when side affirmative tells us that they want to bring people to account, we already put it before the House that the current status quo fails to hold individuals that post misogynistic stuff on Twitter. You know them, but you're failing to call them out. They exist, and the society celebrates their toxicity on social media. So we think that we don't get accountability whatsoever under their side of the House. But most importantly, they fail in the line of pragmatism. We think that their line of argumentation fails in terms of like practicality. How are you going to implement it? But most importantly, we put it before the House that there are instances where anonymity is very, very important. We put it before the House that there are instances where individuals are activists in repressive regimes and they feel they need to air out their views. We think that we better protect the interests of women in Saudi Arabia that want to help other women access sexual reproductive knowledge on sexual reproductive health. We think that we better protect queer men living in countries where it's illegal to be queer, but they can be their queer selves. We think that we're better able to advocate and lobby for policies that are found unpopular in certain spaces and in certain political arenas. Therefore, we think that anonymity in this space and time that we embody is very, very essential, which moves me to my second argument panel. We think that we're moving towards a time where we need to conscientize society about ideas that society is not willing to welcome, really. So we think that at a point where we allow anonymous posting in social media, we're able to champion for social change, exposing society to ideas that they're not readily receptive to. Take, for example when Lasizwe talks about how we need to open up schools for LGBTIQ education. Fine, there is always a backlash that exists, but we think that society is most likely to accept that idea in the long run because it has already triggered a conversation. So take, for instance, an individual living in a country where it's illegal to be queer, but saying those kind of things, it triggers some form of a conversation. We think that conversation is very, very important. So we think that we're able to initiate social change and allowing individuals to be receptive to those ideas. But lastly, we think that it then creates a dangerous precedence, really, for countries like China that are oppressing their own people. Talk about how journalism and the truth generally in those countries is under siege, where journalists are arrested, where anonymity is banned, right? We think that the truth really is it becomes difficult to find the truth where it's difficult to investigate. For instance, concentration camp where you can't be safe really disclosing any information about the exploitation of people in China, really. So we think that under the side of the House, we're better able to secure individuals, and there's a greater good that we do to society. So we think that anonymity, number one, they fail to bring out the agency of why we need to adopt the policy in the first place. Without agency, there is no need panel. Therefore, with that, we've never been proud to oppose. Thank you.
Well, with 20 seconds still on the clock, you have exhausted your points and certainly have ceded that time. However, for the affirmative, your cross-examination 1 minute starts now.
Why are you running all the way to other countries? Why are you running all the way to other countries when in Zimbabwe we have a real problem right now?
Precisely because the internet has no boundaries. The
Right.
internet is yeah, exactly.
You mentioned that anonymity is a way of obtaining help. How then can someone who, in your words, LGBTQ, how can you access help when you're anonymous?
Precisely because being LGBTIQ is legal, so it means if you're anonymous, you're better able to.
Don't you think you better access
not
help
necessarily
when you're
not necessarily receiving help, but conscientizing society of your existence. We're talking about beginning conversations that society is not able to have.
If you're anonymous, you're considered a joke. Then how can you take you serious? Why can't you be your real you and stand for what you believe in? If what you're saying is good, why are
stand
you
a chance
hiding?
of being killed in Uganda.
Interesting. Are you aware that we have social groups that are advocating for their rights, that the moment you stand as you will not be killed, but rather given shelter and protection?
And you'll be shamed, and most likely society will then look at who you are before they listen to what you have to say.
So why should we listen to if you're afraid of being shamed when that's who you are?
Time. Opposers, your 2 minutes of rebuttal, well, they start now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are standing firm on the motion that says banning anonymous posting and commenting and uploading on the internet is indeed something that we need to move towards. Now, our non-affirmative side mentioned that this lacks practicality. And let me bring to the House that in Zimbabwe, Baba Jukwa, who was an anonymous account that was causing havoc within the government and the social constraints of our country, was actually apprehended through the new Cyber Law Act that says that each and every post must be tracked back to the owner. Now, we managed to really find who really the perpetrator of Baba Jukwa is. Yes, you mentioned something of protecting, right? So accessing help. How do you access help when you're not really who you are? In order for you to access the most help, you need to be what you are, right? If what you're saying is right and beneficial to you, why then do you need to be anonymous? If I want help for being who I am, if I want help to be accepted, then why should I hide behind a joke that's an anonymous account? People will never take an anonymous account seriously. Look at Wopo Shingono. His message managed to spread across the country in a more impactful way than when it was anonymous. He never was anonymous. He used his real accounts. Therefore, everyone listened because he's really his true self, meaning there's accountability to that. That's what we are saying, that the price of freedom is not anonymity, but accountability. If you want freedom, if you want to be accepted, then be who you are and stand for who you are. If you're not willing to stand for who you are, why should we take you serious? Now, banning anonymous posting reduces the current legal activities we have right now. So if we are running under anonymous accounts saying, I need help, I'm stranded in Kuwait, yet you're an anonymous person, how can we help an anonymous person? How do you know you're not just a doll or a robot? You want help, be your true self, expose your true nature. What I'm saying is beneficial to me, it's real to me. Why should I hide under a banner of something that I'm not? Ladies and gentlemen, it's clear that the non-affirmative side failed to really grasp how the 7 principles of the Cybersecurity Act can actually protect the consumers. That's right to privacy, protection, and dignity. If people post anonymous with nude pictures of revenge porn on the internet, how then can we say revenge porn? The same internet that's being used by 40-year-olds is also used by 10-year-olds. The right to privacy.
Thank you. The affirmative rebuttal of 2 minutes starts now.
Panel, there seems to be a problem within the affirmative delegation where they basically believe that the only way that you're going to bully people, the only way you're going to do human trafficking is if you're anonymous on the internet. And yet that's not true. We tell you that in this current status quo that we're living in, there are people who are able to bully you and tear you down just because they can, whether they're anonymous or whether they're not anonymous. So our problem in today's debate is that they seem to come here and believe in this whole utopic dream. It's very idealistic for them to say, oh, we're going to start holding you accountable because now you're no longer anonymous. Panel, we're telling you that the status quo has failed. They have failed to hold people accountable whose names we know on the internet, and now all of a sudden, just because you're no longer anonymous, now we're going to start holding you accountable. What they're coming to give you is a very utopic, very idealistic kind of thing that only politicians promise you but never actually get to deliver, right, panel? So then they tell us that it's going to be easier to trace people who are bullying because, oh, now we can trace them. And once again, we tell you that that's very utopic, very idealistic. It's something that is not practical. So we present to you Team Practicality from the University of Zimbabwe and Team Idealistic, which will never work, from Chinhoyi University of Technology, right? So then they tell us that, oh my gosh, we're going to put in place laws, and these laws are going to police the whole internet, ladies and gentlemen. And panel, we come and we tell you that the internet is large. We're living in a global village. How do you tell Facebook? How do you tell Snapchat? How do you tell Instagram that, oh my gosh, we want our people to stop being anonymous? So now I can't be Miss Naz22 on Instagram just because they're putting in a law. How are they going to be able to then reach consensuses with these particular people, right? And then they then speak about, oh my gosh, why can't you be your real self? Be your real self. Panel, we tell you that in Zimbabwe or in any African country that you're in, right? Not every, but in most African countries, you're not allowed to be queer. You're not allowed to be homosexual. You're not allowed to be, as a man, to say that I'm being beaten by my wife. But we are speaking of commenting, uploading on the internet, right? So I can post a blog post and talk about the things that I'm going through, and someone is going to be able to understand what I'm going through, right? So we tell you that under our side of the house, we speak of safe spaces, that the internet, in as much as it causes harm, there are safe spaces that it creates on the internet, which are the things that we're advocating for. Their policy or their solution is only trying to cover one item, and then we tell you that there are so many people that need these things, people that are oppressed within the centers that they're in, people that are oppressed in every single way, socially, sexually, and with that panel back to.
Well, if you're just joining us, you're here on the channel of Practicality. You're on Zimpaper's television network in our Speak and Solve debate, the third, of course, of its kind under the banner of Say What. And now, for a minute and 30 seconds, our opposers will have the opportunity to close. Your time starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a good idea and you want to be a hero, you have to stand up for it. Gone are the days when you used to have man who would stand up and say the truth and then make a difference. What is the need of posting just things on the internet and then not acting on them? Ladies and gentlemen, they spoke of Lasizo, a very good example. He didn't come up anonymous, ladies and gentlemen, but then he stood up as Lasizo, and then he is managing to make a difference. He's managing to spread a voice and say something, ladies and gentlemen. And then we're saying that billions of people, ladies and gentlemen, are being cyberbullied. Millions of people are being human trafficked. And then you're still telling us that we have to ignore this and continue to let people be anonymous on the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, we can have countries to come together and then stand against this anonymity and make a plan and make a way, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that this anonymous thing is banned, and they make sure that they introduce ways of on the internet, ladies and gentlemen, also have experts on the internet, ladies and gentlemen, to actually protect the people from these anonymous people, who are causing some people to even lose their lives, ladies and gentlemen. Do we let these billions and millions of people just go unattended to? We need to attend to these people and make sure that everyone is safe. We need to give everyone a priority. Thus sending a voice out to the world as the people that we are, not as the people that are invisible. Thank you.
With 14 seconds on the clock, you cede your time. And now the affirmative will have their 1 minute and 30 seconds in which to close, and those begin now.
Panel, in this debate, we think we win, particularly because we understand the concept that is underlying when we're talking about the internet and how anonymity is very, very important. We think at most, we really have a lot to lose when we take away the right of anonymity from individuals, because really in internet, privacy is power. The ability of the government not to access your information, the ability of tech giants not to access your information is your power. So what do we give you in this debate? We give you an S theory. We talk about social change. We talk about how it's important that we allow the internet to be a safe space for individuals that are different in different societies. But most importantly, we think that we need to not allow oppressive regimes to then create a leeway from them to oppress their people, right? But what do we get from side opposition, opening opposition? Really, we get a failing status quo. We will then hold them to account. But there are people that we will not name, that we know that are misogynistic. One had a go on misread, and one had a go on Bonang Mateba, and one is harassing women day in, day out, talking about single mothers, but no one is calling him out. No one is saying what you're saying is wrong, but instead, because his posts are associated to a name, society chooses to celebrate his toxicity. And because when you come out as a woman and you challenge it, and because society sees that you're a woman, they will then attack you. But if you're anonymous, society will then look at what you have to say before they attack you. So we think anonymity really wins this debate, and with that we are proud to propose. Thank you.
With 7 seconds on your time, you have ceded that time. Of course, this was the Chinhoyi University of Technology and the University of Zimbabwe debating on the topic. This house would ban anonymous posting, commenting and uploading on the internet. Of course, we are always here on Zimpapers Television Network, proud of our interaction and interactivity with you. Kudzai Chimombe, Shami Jane, Joy Chidindi, and Alan Derek Mklanga. We see you as you follow and of course keep supporting Nyaradzo Francisca Kachepa. Always a pleasure to have your teams watching and supporting, of course, the talent that we've got here today. Don't go away, because coming up next will be the National University of Science and Technology and Great Zimbabwe University. But in the meantime, as they cool down a bit, we shall be going on to the other wing, the west wing of Zimpapers Television Network here at Herald House, where we shall be interacting with them, and Candice Mwakaliele will be at least talking to them when they've cooled down a bit, to see how the going was a bit hot and if they thought the going was tough. And of course, our adjudicators, they have all to do right now, because it was hard work, energy and tireless dedication from two absolutely great teams. So don't go away. On the other side, we shall be seeing the two teams at least talking about this very important interaction.